Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for the support on the last video. I really appreciate it. And if you like the videos, like I said, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. So today I'm gonna be talking about 15 things about everyday life in Finland. So let's jump right into the video. So these are 15 things about everyday life in Finland. By these, I mean that these are just like normal way of life or normal way of living for Finnish people. And to some people who have just moved here or who are intending to move to Finland, it could be also like a shock, but these are just like normal things that happen in everyday life. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is you wave in Finland at a bus. So if you're in a bus stop and you want to go somewhere and you do not wave at a bus, it is possible that the bus will just pass you by. It just pass you by. So you have to wave and the bus stops. And to come down also at the bus, you have to press the button. So if you're supposed to come down in a particular bus stop and you didn't press the button, the bus can just pass by if nobody waved and nobody pressed the stop button. So in Tampere, it's something that's very common and very usual. But in Helsinki, among the trams usually stop at every bus stop if there's somebody waiting at the bus stop. But with the buses, they are not obliged. The train, of course, stops at every bus stop, but the bus doesn't stop at every bus stop if there's nobody. And sometimes there would be people at the bus stop and the bus would not stop. So you have to wave if you want to catch a bus, and you have to press the stop button in the bus if you want to highlight or come down at a particular bus stop. The second thing on my list is lunch in Finland is usually at about 10 a.m. or 10:30 in the morning. Yeah, so in some countries, like where I'm from, lunch is later. Usually we have lunch like 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon and dinner at like 8, 9 or even 7, 8, 9. But in Finland, it's different. When you're having lunch in Finland, 11 actually, even by 12, people are actually done with lunch. And another thing I found interesting is that lunch at 1 p.m. in the afternoon can be seen as late lunch. Like if you're having lunch at 2 p.m., you're like, oh, that's a late lunch. Like, actually, that's my normal time of lunch. But here in Finland, it's normal for people to have lunch such early hours of the day. And dinner usually is from 6 p.m. or even 5 p.m. Some people have dinner at 4 p.m. So yeah, it's normal to have dinner at 4, 5, 6 p.m. And then later, they usually have what they call this evening snack, like iltapala. Something that they have after dinner just before they go to bed. The third point is in Finland, we drink water from the tap. So yes, in Finland, the tap water is considered generally clean and healthy, and you don't have to buy bottled water. As a matter of fact, I do not think that bottled water is a big business here in Finland, because anywhere you go, even from the toilet, you can open the tap and drink water. The water is very clean and very healthy. Also in the restaurants, water is usually free. You don't have to pay for water. It's free because it comes in a jug. And then there's usually a tap sometimes in some restaurants where you can just always go and get free water. So yeah, water is free for everyone here. In the restaurants, of course, we have water bill at home, but you can drink directly from your tap. And from the tap, there's hot and there's cold water. So if you want to turn it left, you get hot water, or you turn it right, you get cold water. So the fourth thing about everyday life in Finland is that the banks do not send you any alerts. Okay, so when I came here and I opened my first bank account and I went to the bank and I put money in it and I got my first salary and stuff like that, I was expecting to get some sort of alert, even if it's email or text message, because in Nigeria alert is a thing, but here it's nothing. And then I asked, they said they don't actually do that here. And I was thinking, that might be a good idea to actually start here. But another thing also I realized is that the businesses here are not necessarily competitive So there's no urge on it. People are satisfied. If you want to check your bank balance, just go to your internet banking system and type in your username and password, and then you can check and see what's in your account. Even if your salary comes into your account, you don't even get an alert. But of course, you know that there's a particular day that you're going to be paid your salary. So you just have to check each time your bank details. But of course, there are other mobile apps that you can attach to your bank account, and such that when you pay or spend money in shops, you can get alerts for those kinds of transactions. The fifth thing about everyday life in Finland is that Sunday is a very quiet day in Finland. So it's kind of laid back day. A lot of shops don't open. I mentioned in my previous video that if you work on Sunday, you are eligible for double pay. So maybe this is also a reason why people do not really open their shops on Sunday, because some people cannot afford to pay the salary for Sunday workers. But even the shops that are even open on Sunday, some of them by 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock, most of them are closed. So it's a very quiet day. Expect to go to the malls on Sunday at 6 o'clock and all the shops are closed. In Nigeria, Sunday is a busy day. People go to watch movies. People are outdoors drinking in the bars. But in Finland, it's very different. Sunday is like family time. So everybody's just chilling at home and taking it easy, watching TV and, you know, just spending time with family. I think I kind of like that, really. The sixth thing on my list would be wide roads in Finland. So in Finland, the roads are very, very wide, in the sense that it allows not just cars to drive on them, but it allows pedestrians to walk on them and allows bikers and cyclists to ride. So it's normal that in the road there is a biking line for bicycles, and then there's a walking pedestrian line. And well, when I came, I saw the sign, and the sign is there. It's evident that you can actually see it. But if you're walking on the bicycle line, and a biker is coming, he can be a little bit pissed off at you, if you know, because you're supposed to actually walk on the pedestrian line. So it's something that encourages walking. So you can even walk for up to 5 kilometers, depending. You can keep fit, you can cycle. And Finns love to cycle a lot, especially during the summer. A lot of people use their bike. And the bike lanes can also be used for skating. So I know some people that actually even skate to work. I used to have a friend back in Tampere that would, you know, dress up for work on a Monday morning and then use his skater board and skate 5 kilometers from where he lives to his office. So yeah, that's something about everyday life in Finland. The seventh point is no traffic usually in Finland. Usually, especially in you know, most cities, maybe Helsinki might be a little bit different, but it's normal that you're going to work and you have to resume work at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. in the morning. And if you calculate your journey and it takes you 20 minutes to get to work, you can leave your home at 7:30 and you'll be at work at 8 a.m. in the morning. Usually there are no delays, because if the commute already says that it's going to take you 20 minutes to get to work, it's going to take you 20 minutes to get to work. There are usually no delays, and yeah, that's very efficient way of living. You don't have to spend hours in traffic, unpredictable hours in traffic. Usually the real-time traffic online is very much updated, and if there's traffic, it actually shows that, oh, there's traffic, and there could be like minor 1 minute or 2 minute delays max, or maybe even max during rush hours, as from 9 a.m. in the morning or 4 p.m. in the afternoon, there'll be like maybe 5-minute delays. But in other cities apart from Helsinki, you are there on the dot, and you can even leave 5 minutes before, if it takes you 3 minutes to get there, and you're going to be there. So it's a very efficient way of living, in my opinion, because where I'm from and where I used to live, I could leave the house in the morning at 6 o'clock and I'm getting to work at 8 a.m. It's possible to spend 2 hours in traffic for a very short, you know, a very short hour drive, or maybe 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers, or 10 kilometers. But in Finland, you're there when it says you're going to be there, and there are usually no delays. So the 8th thing on my list is the holidays in Finland. So usually on public holidays, things are closed and a lot of shops do not open. And yeah, expect that maybe, for example, May Day or Midsummer. And Finland is also known for celebrating some kind of religious holidays. And sometimes some shops are closing early because holidays also is a little bit like a Sunday, in the sense that if you work on a holiday, you are also compensated for working on a holiday. So Independence Day, May Day, Midsummer, Ascension Day, whatever, a lot of shops are closed, or even the ones that open at all, they close very early. Number 9 is there is no word for please in the Finnish language. Yes. So in Finnish, if you're trying to say please to somebody, there's no word for please. Can I have a glass of water? It's usually like asked in form of like a question. Can I have a glass of water? Like Sanko kupivetta, or they say, can I have a glass of water? Thank you. And they put thank you at the end of the sentence. So it's going to be either like a question or it's going to be thank you at the end. There's usually no please officially, and people don't really use that. So it's something that I also found a little bit, I had to get used to, because not like people are ordering you. They're actually very polite to tell you, can I? So they consider even questions as a polite way of asking somebody for something, and you don't have to put please. But of course, there is this slang now that people say please, and yeah, you can also use that too. But usually, there's no such word for that in the Finnish language. Number 10 is noise at 10 p.m. So in Finland, it's normal that most residential apartments and most places, as from 10 p.m., they advise that you shouldn't make noise. It's okay to demand for quietness after 10 p.m. And if a neighbor is making noise after 10 p.m., it's okay to go and knock on their door and tell them, please, you're making noise, and you can bring down the noise. And in some cases, if they don't feel like knocking at your door, it's normal for them to call the police for you if you are disturbing the neighborhood. Yes. So I've actually called the police for some people in Tampere, and they were making noise at 2 a.m. And the reason is because I've seen people calling the police, and the police would just be there in like 5 minutes. So these people were making noise like across the building. They were actually breaking bottles. I think there was a fight, and it kind of woke up everybody in my building, and we were all students and naive. But because I knew that I could actually call the police, and I couldn't go there to tell them to stop making noise because it was a little bit of a hazardous situation, I called the police, and they got there in like 5 minutes, and everywhere was quiet. So the police are very efficient in Finland, and it's your right. You can actually call the police, and the police will be there to your rescue. Number 11, no shoes are allowed in Finnish homes. Yes, so it is rude to wear shoes into a Finnish home, and usually in Finland, there is a rack by the door where you're supposed to keep your shoes, and they do not like that you wear your shoes into their homes. This is because Finns are actually very clean people, and it is understandable that your shoes can bring in dirt, it can bring in leaves, it can bring in snow. And in some apartment buildings, there's a brush thing at the entrance of the door, especially when it snows, so that you can actually brush your boots. But when you get into a Finnish home, it is expected that you take off your shoes at the door and then just walk in with your socks. So you can take off your shoes at the door, take off your jacket, also take off your hats, because those things are important. To take them off, and then you can come into a Finnish home. The 12th thing is the bags in the grocery stores. So in Finland, you have to buy your plastic bag in the grocery store. And yes, I found it a little bit, it was a little bit of a surprise for me when I came, because where I'm from, you buy things and the grocery bag is free, and they even pack the things for you. But here in Finland, you have to buy your grocery bag, and then you have to pack the things by yourself. And I think that this is a way to discourage people from using plastics, because as we all know, plastics are bad for the environment, and they're trying to, minimize the waste. So it's normal that in Finland you can have your own grocery bag, like not necessarily a plastic bag, but a cloth bag that you put and then you take to the grocery store, and when you shop, you put your stuff in the grocery in the bag, because even though the bags are cheap for about 20 cents or 40 cents, yeah, some people do not like to buy plastic bags. But sometimes it's normal if you forget and you don't have any bag, of course, those are always at your disposal. The 13th thing is, it's normal that you don't know your neighbor in Finland. Okay, so in Nigeria, you know, it's when you move into an apartment, it's normal to go and knock on the door and say hello and say, I'm the new neighbor, my name is whatever, introduce yourself. It's also normal where I'm from that people cook and give to neighbors like on festive seasons. Well, here in Finland, it's okay not to even know your neighbor, and you can know their name, because usually there's a name tag at the door for their mails and the post, but it's okay not to know your neighbor. I've passed by my neighbors severally, and I didn't even know they were my neighbors, and you don't even greet them. So it's still okay not to know your neighbor. It's still okay not to greet your neighbor. So you can live next to somebody for years. It was a shock to me, of course, because you live next to somebody for so many years and you don't even know who they are, you don't know what they do. But in some cases, of course, people know their neighbors, but it's not something that is normal. It's also normal that you avoid your neighbor. So you can hear that your neighbor is leaving the house or is coming down, and you wait. It's a thing in Finland to wait for your neighbor to pass and use the stairs or whatever, and then you can now, people are a little bit shy to talk to neighbors, and they try as much as possible to avoid small talk. I think it's a little bit of a horror story sometimes, being stuck with a neighbor in the elevator, and then you guys do not actually know each other. Sometimes it's very, very awkward, and they just take their face away, and then you take your face away until you get to your destination. So the 14th thing is ceiling fans. In Finland, there are no ceiling fans. I have never seen a ceiling fan since I moved to Finland. The buildings are also not constructed for ceiling fans. So it's actually very hot sometimes during the summer, and in the summers, people would scramble for air conditioning and standing fans. They are not built to have this fan rolling over your head. And yeah, so because of course I understand that it's a very cold country, and it's usually cold most parts or most times during the year. But yeah, I know that it's something that is also a little bit weird if you are not used to it. So do not expect to see a ceiling fan when you come to Finland. And the 15th thing on my list would be no smoking indoors. So in Finland, you're not allowed to smoke indoors. In bars, in restaurants, most places are beginning to even discourage smoking on the balcony, because when I first came to Finland, there are some places that permit you to smoke on the balcony. I'm not a smoker, but these signs are everywhere, and it's something that I've also seen when I came, that a lot of people are smoking outside on the streets. In apartment buildings, most landlords or residential buildings do not even want tenants smoking in the balcony. They tell you to go down from your apartment and take at least be 1 meter away from the building to smoke. And it's a way to maybe discourage smoking, and also to discourage second party or third party smoking, because when you're smoking next to somebody in the bar, it's possible that somebody else inhales the smoke. So everybody in Finland smokes. All the smokers in Finland smoke outside. So this brings me to the end of the 15 things about everyday life in Finland. If you loved this video, please subscribe, like, and share. I'll be making more videos about my experiences in Finland. Thank you so much for watching, and bye!